All right, ladies, time for a school circle. Today, what we're going to be discussing is general safety. Uh, Almost everything that you do on a daily basis is inherently unsafe, so this is just some basic safety rules that I'm going to be utilizing throughout the videos. Now, the biggest and main one is tools are not toys, treat them as such. With that said, let's start with the firearms. The first rule of firearms is every gun is loaded. I know everyone says treat every firearm as if it is loaded. I look at it as if you treat every firearm it is loaded, then there's no mistaking on how you should handle that weapon. So, like I said, every firearm is loaded until you prove otherwise. And a good example of that would be with this revolver. Now, to make sure it's unloaded, you swing open the cylinder gate, and then you check the cylinder. Now, the second rule of firearms is do not point the firearm at anything you do not intend to destroy. Because when you pull the trigger and the bullet leaves the barrel, there is nothing to stop it. So you never want to point a firearm at anything you do not intend to destroy, because whatever it hits, it destroys. A third one is to keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you are ready to fire. Your main safety is this finger right here. You do not put it on the trigger until you're ready to fire and you are sure what you want to do to the target. So, like I said, keep your finger straight and off the trigger until you are ready to fire. The fourth firearm rule, basic firearm rule, is to keep the muzzle of the firearm pointed in the safe direction. That way, if you do have a negligent discharge, the round is going to go off in a direction that is not going to destroy anything or harm anyone. With that said, those are the four basic rules of firearm safety. A couple of other rules that you do want to follow deals with targets, such as if you're using steel targets. You want to follow the manufacturer's recommendations for safe shooting distance, meaning, if they say do not shoot within 50 yards, stay away from the target 50 yards. If they say stay away from the target 100 yards, then stay away from the target 100 yards. Another one is to be sure of your target and all of the surroundings, meaning you don't want to have anything you do not intend to destroy. You do not want to have anything that you do not intend to destroy behind the target, because probably 99% of the time the bullet's going to pass through the target and into whatever's behind it. So you want to keep the surrounding area clear of your target, so that way you don't destroy anything you do not intend to destroy. Next, we move on to knives. One of the biggest rules about knife handling is to carry the knife the way it's meant to be carried. If it comes with a sheath, carry it in a sheath. If it's a folding knife, keep it folded. With that said, another rule for knives is if you're going to hand the knife off to someone else, you either want to hand it handle first with the blade up and away from you. That way they're not grabbing a sharp handle. Another way to pass a knife onto someone is to just set it down, cutting edge away from you, handle towards the person. When you carry a knife, again, like I said, the best way to carry a knife is the way it was meant to be carried. With the example of this hunting knife, again, carrying it in the sheath. But if you have to carry it without the sheath, carry it with the cutting edge away from you, point down. The same would go for an axe or any kind of other implement that would be used for cutting. That, again, also with knives, you drop a knife, do not try to catch it. 90% of the time you try to catch a knife, whether it's a little pocket knife like this and it's open, or a hunting knife like that without the sheath, you will cut yourself. It's a no-brainer. So you drop a knife, step back from it and do not try to catch it. And then again, another rule with knives, when using a knife, especially like within martial arts type training, make sure of your target and the surrounding areas. Because even though it's not a firearm and it does not have any kind of projectile to it, there is still a range of motion that the knife can damage, injure, or even kill someone, or damage something. So you want to make sure your target surrounding the area. Lastly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go through some simple procedures on how to clear some firearms. Like again, I showed you with the one revolver how to check to make sure it's cleared, but I do have some loaded firearms to show you some things you can look at to see if the firearm may be loaded. And in some cases, you can actually tell if a firearm is loaded without having to clear it. But again, rule 1, every firearm is loaded until you prove otherwise. The first is going to be usually my everyday carry. It's a Ruger LCRX 357. Now right here, as you can see, it is loaded. You can see the rounds in between the back of the cylinder and the back of the frame. Again, to unload this, keeping it in a safe direction, pop open the cylinder, and again, you can see that it's unloaded. Just dump out the rounds. The weapon is now cleared and unloaded. Another one is the Ruger LCR. Now, I don't know how well it'll show up, but there is a little window there. You can see the brass casing inside the chamber. Therefore, this weapon is loaded. With this being a semi-auto, drop the magazine, pull the slide back, and remove the round from the chamber. And then another good example is this Springfield XD. Now this particular one on the top of the slide here has a loaded round indicator. When there is a round, it will pop up some, and it is a little hard to see on the video, but you can see it right there. That is one way to tell that this is loaded. Another way to tell that it might be loaded is this is a cocked indicator, meaning that the striker is back and ready to fire. Again, drop the magazine, work the slide, and remove the round. Also, you do want to lock the slide back and check the chamber to see if there's a live round in it. Well, that is all I have for you today. Again, please remember, follow the safety rules. Tools are not toys. Treat them as such. Thank you and have a good day.